What's up guys, it's Ryan, and I'm back once again to give you some more info on the recent Final Fantasy VII Remake screenshots and details given out on both the Square Enix website and the Twitter account. The guys over at Square Enix have remade two of the iconic art pieces from the original once again, giving a bit more context to this mysterious soldier, and more screenshots of the game. Also, apologies if this video took a bit to get out. This next week or so with uploads is going to be pretty hectic, especially with Morgana Newsletter 3 coming out literally later tonight. So with that said, let's mosey. So we're going to start off here with the screenshots posted on the Square Enix press site, and if there's any context given on Twitter, we'll check that out too. The first we see here is of Sephiroth in his full grey-haired glory, wielding the Masamune, and we even get a look at his slight redesign with that weird-looking belt buckle. This is actually President Shinra's office, and if you play the original Final Fantasy VII, you probably know where this is going. We're most likely going to see the scene of Sephiroth killing President Shinra in this game. But we'll have to wait and see, this could just be a flashback or something. But still, overall, Sephiroth looks amazing here. The next picture is a small one of the shot we saw back at E3 of Sephiroth, and the next is a full look at President Shinra. There's not too much to comment on here, aside from a couple of things. One, it's still insane to me how realistic these characters look, and the other one is actually his eyes. Notice the sort of glow to them? This is stretching a little bit, but is it possible that this is actually due to the Mako poisoning and that's why it's glowing so much? Because he's been around it for so long. It's a theory of mine, but it's not exactly impossible. We then get our next look at Heidegger, fully remade with a bit of a redesign. He looks pretty cool. They definitely slimmed him up a little bit compared to the original, but I do think he looks a good bit menacing here as well. I wonder if we're going to see any other members of President Shinra's cabinet anytime soon. We then see the shot we saw before, the mysterious soldier riding his motorcycle with a sword in his back from the bombing run mission, though we'll get a bit more context on this dude here in this video. We then have some stuff on Aerith next, and a good look at the train graveyard. The first is the usual, Aerith doing her ranged magic attacks, and the second one focuses on her doing what I believe is her Tempest attack. Aerith then uses her attack once again on one of the goofy enemies from the graveyard, and then we get something pretty damn unique to Aerith. This is during the roof fight that is new to Remake, and this is a spell we haven't seen before, though again, we'll get some more context on this later. Same with the next screenshot as well, which is Aerith doing something also completely new to Remake with a sort of flower shield that she summons, but again, more on that later. We then get an overhead shot of the train graveyard itself, and while there's not too much to really comment on here, it does look great in my opinion. I do wonder how much it's going to be expanded upon though from the original, as the bit they show here does look a bit small and also fairly similar to the original as well. The next bit here is a few things to point out. First of all, Aerith and Tifa are sort of away from Cloud, and going off of Tifa, they sort of seem to be surveying the area. Now, we're going to get more context on this later, but in Kingdom Hearts 3, this is how they actually handled some moments. There were some moments in Kingdom Hearts 3 where Donald and Goofy and any other party members that you may have had would sit on the sidelines at certain points, and you could talk to them, and they'd sometimes give their thoughts about the situation. We'll talk more about that later. Also, we have our first look at the minimap. Nothing too much to mention here, it's a minimap. Aerith and Tifa are signified through large blue orbs in the map, though I'm not sure what the smaller ones are used for. Next, we have a small screenshot showing them all trying to move the trains, and this just looks kind of funny to me, like they're all kind of dumbfounded about it. The next one is Aerith talking to the weird ghost sheet enemies at the graveyard. Aerith, what are you doing? We have a couple more screenshots here of Shiva doing a few of her attacks against the chariot enemy from the original, and I believe executing her final move, but again there's more over that later. Next up, we get an outside shot of the Shinra HQ right before you would storm in or you would take the stairs. I love how this looks visually, it's so one-to-one perfect from the original. The next one isn't anything major, just Cloud standing in the lobby, though the next we actually get to see the van the crew is going to ride it on in when they get out, and I believe the motorcycle Cloud is going to use as well. The next one is a small one, of which I believe is floor 61 from the original game. Looks pretty good. Now, we're not done here just yet, as the Square Enix website made a blog post with a ton of new details on the screenshots we just mentioned, including the mysterious soldier's name. So, let's take a look. They say, we have a host of new images from Final Fantasy VII Remake to show you. These pictures reveal key information about the game, including a look at Aerith's combat prowess, a tour of some of the game's expanded locations, and a close-up with some of the key players in the story, including the brand new Roach. First though, we have a couple of beautiful pieces of art to show you, focusing on two of the most beloved characters, Tifa and Sephiroth. These are fully recreated from two iconic pieces of artwork from the original game, and both of them look absolutely amazing. Though I have to wonder about the Sephiroth one, considering this doesn't actually show up until Calm, and presumably this wouldn't be in Part 1, unless Part 1 actually does have the calm flashback. The Twitter account goes a bit further into this with these tweets. We're pleased to share some more recreated artwork from the original Final Fantasy VII in anticipation of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Here we have Tifa reminiscing about her childhood in Nibelheim, perhaps recalling promises made under the moonlight, which is a fun little nod to the promise her and Cloud made, obviously. The Sephiroth one says this: "Today, we're unveiling one more piece of our remade pieces of artwork to celebrate the upcoming release of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Here's Soldier's finest, Sephiroth. Hailed as a hero after the war with Wu-Tai, many youths have aspired to join Soldier in his footsteps ever since. There's also some nice renders of Sephiroth as well." Back to the blog post, we have sections here dedicated to certain characters. First up is Sephiroth. This says, "Sephiroth is famed as the finest member of Shinra's elite soldier unit. His gallant efforts in the war with Wu-Tai made him a hero, and he's inspired many a brave youth to join Soldier. Sephiroth is believed to have died during a top-secret mission, but there may be far more to the story than people know." Next up is the President Shinra himself. The current president of the Shinra Electric Power Company raised the company up from a small arms manufacturer to the massively powerful conglomerate it is today. He can be generous to his allies, but when it comes to business, he's utterly ruthless. He's willing to use cutthroat business tactics to make a profit and eliminate anyone who gets in the way. If by dropping a massive plate onto thousands of people killing them as cutthroat business tactics, then yeah, you're right. We then have Heidegger. As well as being the Director of Public Security, Heidegger has been President Shinra's right-hand man since the early days of the company. He's just as ruthless as his boss and will do anything to get what he wants, even sacrifice his own subordinates. He's trusted implicitly by the President, and this has made the public security the most powerful department within Shinra. Nothing much I can say here. The dude looks cool. Now, we finally get some more details of the mysterious soldier, who I can finally start calling Roach. The description says, "This 3C soldier turned rebel is also known as the Speed Demon. He loves bikes, speed, and anyone who can give him a challenge. His comrades, however, find him annoying. He constantly squeals his rear tire and makes them choke on fumes of burnt rubber." So yeah, he's a third-class soldier, not a first-class like a lot of us thought. And yeah, he sounds like a Nomura character, alright. In general, I'm still very cautiously optimistic about Roach's inclusion in Remake, to be honest. It could either go incredibly well or go horribly. Next up, we get some more details on Aerith in the battle. Now, of course, we hear the same normal stuff. You press the square button repeatedly, or you hold the button, successive attacks will be used. However, I believe that this is new, which is that the number of targets to hit will increase, and the attacks will cover a larger area over time. The next talks a bit about her unique ability, Tempest, and how you can hold down the triangle button to charge that attack, and at maximum charge, it will explode repeatedly after it hits an enemy. They also talk about two of her other unique abilities, first off being Soul Drain, which lets Aerith absorb MP from a foe, as we see her using it against Rude. Of course, with her being a very magic-based character, this is going to pretty much be a necessity for Aerith. The other one is called Lustrous Shield, which allows Aerith to summon a magical barrier, which will keep enemies at bay and block projectiles. What's more, any attackers who come into contact with the shield will take damage. These two are really cool to me and gives Aerith more to do in her moveset. I like how they try to move her a bit more past just a healer to a more defensive healer character. Next up, we get some more details on Shiva. They say, characters in Final Fantasy VII Remake can use summon materia, orbs that let them summon an intensely powerful ally into the fight. The Queen of Ice, Shiva, is one such summon. This frosty figure gives an icy glare to enemies and a loving smile to allies. She skates around the battlefield and manipulates the air to freeze enemies in the blink of an eye. Once summoned, Shiva will fight automatically, but you can also issue commands to make her use specific abilities. Heavenly Strike creates a giant glacier and smashes it down onto the opponent. The next one talks about her final attack, the iconic Diamond Dust. When referring to a powerful move just before they leave, they say, in Shiva's case, it's Diamond Dust, a move fans of the original Final Fantasy VII may remember. Shiva encases enemies in ice and then shatters them in a spectacular fashion. I've already said this, but at least visually, summons are seriously something to behold. I'm still a bit disappointed you can't use them out on the field, but I do understand it for balancing reasons. Next up is more about the Keloid Graveyard. They say, Final Fantasy VII Remake takes many locations from the original game and redesigns and reinterprets them to add additional depth. The story is more detailed too, with more dialogue, story sequences, and a greater portrayal of citizens' lives. The train graveyard is a perfect example of this. Originally used during the construction of Midgar, this area has since become a junkyard for old and abandoned trains. Strong winds make the rusting carriages creak and groan, and odd high-pitched sounds echo over the area. They also confirm a theory I had earlier, which was this. You may remember this location from the original Final Fantasy VII. In that game, there was no dialogue here, but in Final Fantasy VII Remake, characters will talk to each other as they explore the maze of wreckage. They also mentioned how there's going to be new story additions into the Keyblade Graveyard with multiple new event scenes. The train graveyard, from what I've seen, looks pretty cool, as small as it may be. I love the fact that the characters are going to stop for a bit and actually comment on their situation and what's going on. It's a really good expansion of the area. Finally, we have a look at the Shinra building. They say, here's a look at another area of the game. The headquarters of the Shinra Electric Power Company is a 60-story skyscraper in the center of Midgar. Of course, the first thing you'll see is the expansive entrance. Inside the building, you can take a look at some of the Shinra cars on display. Or to unwind, why not head up to the relaxation floor? The final thing here isn't related to what they revealed, but I thought I should mention it for anybody who did pre-order through Amazon like me. If you did, you'll be able to get this unique theme for the PS4, I assume at launch with your copy, whether digitally or physically, and physically it should come with a code in the box. Looks cool, and that's all I have to say for today. So, with all that said and done, what do you all think? Have your thoughts about Remake changed at all since the reveal, and in what ways? We're only a couple months away from this point. Comment below, and let me know. Thank you all very much for watching, have a great night, signing off. Peace.